Then streaming. All right.
Woo!
Hello and welcome to Who Dudes, a Doctor Who podcast. You are here with your host. That is me, Connor Mack. I'm here with my best buddy in the Whoniverse, Mr. Josh O'Connor. Josh, long time no talk. How's it going?
It's only been 5 minutes.
Oh, it feels like forever, man. Feels like
It's just
forever.
like Doctor Who. It's
I was
only
gonna
been
say,
5 minutes in the show, but it feels like forever.
yeah, it feels like we're Belinda. We just haven't slept since we since we had the last adventure.
Exactly.
And now it's time, but we're not even getting the cool wardrobe changes.
No, literally, I'm in the exact same thing I was wearing.
yeah,
I think you put
yeah.
on a hat. I don't remember if
If
you
you're
were wearing that or
watching,
not.
if you're watching the video, you can you can tell we have not changed costumes yet. um, all right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us, Who fans everywhere. Thank you for listening. Today on the podcast, we'll be talking about the third episode of Doctor Who season 2 or series 15 or season 41. The Well. This is written by Russell T Davies and Sharma Angel Walfall, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not totally sure. Um, but that's cool. It's the first episode of the season that is written with the help of somebody else. I think after this, though, we have a run of like 3 episodes with brand new writers, which is pretty exciting.
Ooh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah. So yeah.
So
Essentially, go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, just for those who are new to the podcast, including ourselves, the premise of this podcast is that Connor is going to be reading the live text that I send him every time I sit down to watch an episode of Doctor Who,
Yes.
with my thoughts and moments of the show that I enjoy. Um, So yeah, feels a little self-centering or self-serving for myself,
Well,
but
because you have to bring it up every time because I forget the central premise of the podcast every episode. I'm just like ready to jump into
yeah,
the action,
and
and you're
this
like,
is
wait,
it's
there's
not supposed to
actually
be a it's not supposed to be a full episode discussion, which some people
yeah,
might be expecting. This is just a weird ass little podcast we're doing where
yeah.
Connor just wants to review what I texted him,
I
and we
think
want to
it's an
talk about Doctor Who.
opportunity. We want to talk about Doctor Who, and it's an opportunity because Josh has sent me these live texts of his viewing of the episodes for a long time, and
Couple
I
years
like,
now, yeah.
yeah, a few years. I can almost never reply to all of them, and so I like have been I yearn to talk about them, and so finally we're making the opportunity to actually go line by line with Josh's live texts. It's Doctor Who viewing.
Yay!
Hell yeah. Uh, all
So,
right, yeah.
and
So
there's actually
this,
there's one other thing I want to bring up
yeah,
outside of the episode, the story of the episode. When I was looking
yeah.
up memes for this episode at the end, because I wanted to figure a couple things out and see where people were, um, I learned something that I hadn't realized yet, and that's that Belinda's actress, I'm gonna butcher her name, I apologize, um, Verada Sethu,
Uh-huh.
is also in Andor, which is another show I'm currently watching.
Yeah, yeah.
She showed up for all of 30 seconds and was in a completely different costume in season 2 so far. So I just completely forgotten what she looked like. Like, I recognized the character, but between that episode that I watched and Doctor Who, I just could not put that together. Um, so yeah, apparently Belinda is a character in Andor, and that's really cool.
Yeah, no,
And you
definitely.
don't see a lot of Star Wars alum in Doctor Who, and vice versa.
Yeah,
So
no, yeah, that's a good point. It's funny because I watched the Doctor Who Unleashed. There's a behind the scenes show where Doctor Who Unleashed. It's all on YouTube this season, so you can watch it for free. Um, where Verada actually, and again with the name pronunciation, I apologize. I will learn how to correctly pronounce your name. I promise you. I apologize if I'm butchering it. Um she she mentioned that the wardrobe in this episode made her feel like she was on Star Wars, and she had to like remind herself, oh wait, no, this is Belinda. This is not my Star Wars character. I have to act like Belinda and be a bit
yeah, because
more
Star Wars character is a bit ruthless.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I've heard great things about Andor. I think I will watch it eventually.
Would recommend.
Uh,
It's some of the best like mature Star Wars content out there right now.
nice. Yeah. All right, jumping into the episode. This one's called The Well. Essentially, we pick up where we left off. It's going to quickly say the Doctor and Belinda are still trying to get home. They're using the Vindicator. They
They're
get
still in
flung
their
to,
outfits from Flux.
They're still in their. Uh, so they get sent 500 years in the future.
500,000.
500,000. Sorry, 500,000 years in the future. To this mining colony, or this mining planet, and they get flung into the center of things, and the shit goes wacky, and we will get into all of it.
Just
so
like
Josh,
Doctor Who did.
yes, exactly. Josh, you start right off. You say, starting off right where Lux left off, which is it's the same deal here. No time has passed. Essentially, Belinda is still, she says, "When am I going to get home?"
Yeah, I bet they are. The beginning of this episode is when Mrs. Flood is still talking in the last episode. Like they've just taken off.
Absolutely. Dematerialization has just happened. And so next up, you say, Belinda listing off a half dozen things that have likely already happened to Earth and Doctor Who.
Yes.
I forget
it's
what she
blown
listed,
up.
Yeah.
Blown up. Yeah, I don't remember the exact list, but I think it ended with like being swatted by a giant fly swatter or something like that. It's like maybe that one hasn't happened yet.
It definitely could happen. I could see Earth being shrunk or something, and then maybe that's the end of the season. Who knows? But you're right. That was funny. You quote, "Is that all still happening? I hope." You hope.
Nice little interaction.
The Doctor's a little unsure here. About
and all this still happening stuff is life that Belinda knew back home.
Yes, exactly. She lists off again, her parents. She's mentioned her parents a couple times now about how silly they are, and definitely humanizes her a bit. Just want to say, unbeknownst to them, like the audience is aware that the fucking Statue of Liberty is floating out in space somewhere, and that a London taxi cab and the pyramids.
That Weeping Angel finally got taken care of.
Yeah. The Angel has been deactivated. But so we know something major is going on with Earth. They're still not quite privy to that. But then they're talking about being back home. The Doctor mentions he'll sing with her dad, but will he dance? And I think that's a reference. You're referencing the Doctor Dances episode, right? Is that what you're doing here? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Which is a great episode.
It is.
500,000 years into the future. That's where they ended up. The Doctor says there is always a human race.
Mm-hmm.
Or is there? Or is
there? But I think this is the first time that assertion is actually challenged in Doctor Who, because it's whenever they go in the far future, there's always a human race. There's always some empire, like the fifth major empire, great and bountiful human empire, or something like that.
Yeah. I also want to point out, because usually the idea is the companion gets taken to the far end of the future or something, when Earth is dead and gone, but there's solace in the fact that humans live on, and a great example of that is the Ninth Doctor taking Rose to that end of the world party.
And I was about to say, I really like the line in that one where it's like you go out and you dance with everyone.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah, and but the funny connection here is that again there is a wardrobe change. I'm going to get to this. You mentioned 500,000 years in the future. There's always human race. Belinda asks about the language. Do they still speak English? You said the TARDIS translates. Try it. And so here we get to the wardrobe change, which this seems to be a recurring thing. And the Doctor knows he can charm Belinda with the wardrobe change, and so he says, "Girl, you were starting to enjoy this at last." But I want to point out the connection to that end of the world episode is during that sequence where they're running into the wardrobe and getting changed into their spacesuits. "Toxic" by Britney Spears plays, and that is also the song that plays on the jukebox in the End of the World episode with Nine and Rose.
Ah, okay. I just thought it was a pop song reference. I didn't make that connection because the little thing like that, like I know I was talking the first episode, I really noticed music cues, but a pop song reference, I'm
Well,
not
you're
gonna
not. Yeah,
connect
you're
to other episodes from
Josh.
20 years ago.
Josh, I'm sorry, but you're not a pop girly.
No,
Okay,
I'm not.
you're not a
I most
pop girly.
certainly am
Sorry.
not.
uh, so yeah, they're fitted into these spacesuits. You say helmets, jump. Josh, they get fucking flung into the action right away.
Yeah, they literally walk out, and there's all the soldiers are there. They're conveniently dressed exactly like them.
I was gonna say, Josh, somehow they have the exact same spacesuits on as everybody else.
Maybe the TARDIS just fucking hands them some outfit. It's like, here, this will help you.
That's my thought too. I think the TARDIS can scan the surroundings, and I think especially
Yeah,
maybe that's a popular brand of spacesuit in 500,000 years in the future. So there's
maybe. I mean, it's they do it in Star Trek. Why can't they do it in Doctor Who?
yeah, why not? So yeah, they get thrown into the action. Josh, you sent me a GIF of some. Is that from Halo?
Yes, I sent you. It's a live action trailer for Halo 3 ODST, and that's
So
why I sent you.
Okay.
The next text is feet first into hell, because they literally jump out
Yeah.
after putting helmets on, and it's like, all right, this is fucking ODSTs. It's more likely a reference to Hell Jumpers, the video game that just came out like last year.
Okay.
But I mean, the original Hell Jumpers are the ODSTs, and they're fucking badass. And like I said, I'm assuming these are ODSTs until proven otherwise, and it's never exactly proven otherwise. So,
So what is an ODST for the audience? For the audience members who are
yes, the
unaware,
audience.
obviously I know what an ODST is, but
In the Halo universe, an ODST is just short for Orbital Drop Trooper. They are basically the Supermarines. That's actually a thing in sci-fi. They're the special forces that usually get dropped into very difficult situations in what are essentially falling coffins.
Ooh.
And then they burst out and they start shooting stuff, and it's really badass but impractical concept in science fiction,
Gotcha.
in my opinion.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why their motto is feet first into hell, because they literally drop from orbit in these drop pods that are not safe by any means, that then crash into the ground at a relatively safe velocity, and it's usually in the middle of a battlefield, so they have to just come out fighting.
Gotcha. Hey,
Yeah.
good. I mean, to know. I mean, good for the audience to know. That's interesting. Okay. Anyways, you say the well. ... Water of Mars guest coming back. So yeah,
Yeah,
your
that's
prediction here is that maybe this is a Water of Mars sequel.
Yes, that's based purely off of what I could see in the previous, the next time on in the previous episode, Lux. And honestly, I don't know where the Waters of Mars feeling came. It kind of was just a feeling of the episode.
There's
And
a vibe, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a vibe. And you'll see as I'm texting you, like, I'm bouncing between a few different possibilities here. And for those who are listening, I do not subscribe to any spoiler things at all. I have been trying to block spoilers out for at least the last 10-15 years of Doctor Who, just because even the Doctor Who official channels will just spoil the shit out of me. So I like going into these episodes as blind as I possibly can, and usually the next time preview at the end of each episode is the most of what I understand. Usually Connor has to tell me when episodes are starting, when a new season is starting, because I just completely lose track of all that.
He won't even watch trailers for the upcoming season.
I'll watch a trailer if they put out an official trailer. I've done that before.
There's been times where you're like, I'm not going to watch that because it's
I say I will, but there are times where I won't. You're right.
Yeah. So I mean, I admire your fortitude there. I do. But I thought it was so fucking funny. You're right away. You're clued in. Like you're like guessing it's a sequel to something. There's some sort of callback here. I was impressed by that. You say landing reminds me.
I was gonna say usually when I this text the well ... That's usually me just telling Connor, like, all right, I'm through the intro. This is the title of the episode. I will tell Connor, like, just random lines and like events in the episode, because I'm just trying to mark where I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we get into the episode proper. You say landing reminds me of the Harkonnens in Dune with the anti-grav belts. you're spot on. It
Yeah.
did kind of feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
That
doing the
was a-
hover thing, and
yeah.
they're using like hover boots, but it's still a very similar visual effect.
Yeah, that was a cool ass sequence. Just a lot less orange.
Yes, very blue.
Yeah, very blue. And they land down into a quarry, which Doctor Who is obviously famous for filming in quarries, like just for the entire 63-year run now. But this particular quarry, Josh, did you recognize it at all?
I did not know.
So this is the quarry that they also use in the 13th Doctor's last episode, Power of the Doctor, where
Oh,
it's like
interesting.
that moon base thing where the Master shoots the Doctor at the end. Anyways,
Cool.
that's my little
See,
quarry.
when I sat down to watch this last night, and they show up in this mine that's coming up, as I was half expecting the mine to be a reference to a Star Trek thing, but that was a wild wish fulfillment Easter egg hope that did not pan out at all.
Well, the interesting thing about that is because you remember last year there was like a Comic-Con panel that was like Star Trek and Doctor Who together.
Right. And everyone was like, "There's going to be a Doctor Who Star Trek crossover because Strange New Worlds had just done a crossover with the animated Star Trek series. That was a lot of fun, and everyone's like, "Oh, are they going to do like oh?" And fucking the Doctor alluded that they could go meet go meet the crew of the Enterprise at some point.
I was going to
which
say
they've done in comics.
Babies. Yes, they have.
Yeah.
In Space Babies, Ruby is like, "Oh, like this is like Star Trek," and then the Doctor is like, "Oh, we should go meet them sometime."
Yeah,
which is very funny, and then that made people think like, "Oh, wait, is Star Trek real in the Doctor Who universe?" So
I mean, there's some crossover, but
the possibilities there.
But yeah, no, and then that panel turned out to just be like a gotcha game, which kind of sucked.
Yeah. That's
the threads are there.
Yes,
it's not completely off the table yet.
No, there's always hope. Next up, I think you quote Belinda, "Life with You." She is on her first alien planet now. She's landing on her first alien planet.
No.
Sorry. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Belinda,
well, her first alien planet that's not named after her. Yeah. And so that's a good point.
Yeah.
When they look up at the sky, you say pretty. This is
very pretty.
It's a beautiful vista, sky, alien sky.
I need to go look something up while you're talking about this. Spoiler for later in the episode, but
so this is kind of to me this is kind of a parallel to like Ruby's first real trip to an alien world with the Doctor. Where it's like supposed to be very exciting and new and fun, and it's beautiful, but they get thrust into like a really traumatic event, and it's just a very it's a really dangerous and not actually a very fun trip. And so next you say psychic paper. The Doctor, of course, pulls out his psychic paper and says, "Oh, hey, because obviously the crew is like, who the fuck are you?" And they surround him with guns and shit, and so that's usually how it goes. And so Doctor says, "Oh no, I'm supposed to be here, man. This is my psychic paper." And then Belinda plays along and is like, "Oh yeah, we're mystery shoppers." So pretty much an inspection idea.
Yeah.
Next up, you have and we're vindicated. They pull out the Vindicator, set it down. I guess it just takes fucking 2 seconds to work. It's a very easy process with the Vindicator.
Which is great. It's a nice little MacGuffin that just kind of gets them out. All it does is get them out of the TARDIS, and it's probably gonna bring everything together for the end of the season, where they finally make it to the time period they're trying to reach.
Yeah,
but we will see.
We will, and there's something that at the end of this episode that might give us some more thought about the Vindicator. And And then here, Josh, I think here comes your first major nitpick of the episode. You say,
Oh my god, the
"Oh
technobabble.
man, the techno babble. Oh no." Now this is something that you do often pick up on that I don't. It floats right by me most of the time.
Yeah,
Because you're a science minded kind of guy.
I am. Yes, it's
So do you do you want to read the next text and kind of give us an idea of why this bothered you or your thoughts on this?
yeah. So I have some extensive science education and engineering experience. So hearing these terms used in incorrect context can hurt a little bit sometimes. Star Trek, thankfully, has some great technobabble where they make up some of their words, so that to the point where it'll be like it'll make sense if you in the context of the show. Doctor Who just tends to throw a bunch of random sciencey sounding things together, and that can cause some issues. In this instance, we have galvanic radiation. Galvanic generally refers to electrical potentials between two dissimilar metals and not radiation. So this one that one hurt. Next up was retrograde velocity, as in the ship that they had to wait for had to land with a retrograde velocity. And I mean, technically, you can't have a retrograde velocity. Velocity is speed and direction. But retrograde just means backwards. So basically, they say the ship needs to back up, and it's going to take it 5 hours to do that. And it's like, they could have just said it needs to take a special trajectory or something like that.
Yeah.
To avoid like ion storms in the atmosphere. Do Star Trek. Come on.
That's very funny.
Yeah, that one really kind of facepalmed me. It took me out of the episode for a moment, but I jumped back in.
Yeah.
It wasn't Kill the Moon bad.
Yeah, I mean, Kill the Moon is another episode that I adore. That episode. People like Josh
absolutely hated
it. Yeah,
well,
there are some
hate's a strong term, but I did not enjoy that episode as much as others of 12's run.
Yeah. So that's very interesting to me because I'm blissfully unaware. So yeah, that's takes a long time for that to happen. They're stuck there for 5 hours. You point that out. You've traveled all this way for what? And then now they're explaining kind of what is going on on this mining colony.
Yes, and we get into more technobabble where it's a mining colony. We find out, and this is where I was saying I would hope there would be a Star Trek reference. There's a mine in the original series that has like a matte painting that then kind of shows up once or twice in the Next Generation. It's just like a painting on the wall, and I was just kind of hoping the mine would resemble that matte painting of the Star Trek mine, but it didn't. Like I said, pie in the sky, hope for an Easter egg. That wasn't ultimately there. So yeah, we get. I didn't catch it the first time. I think it turned out to be like mercury drill or mercury siphon or something like that.
Yeah.
But then they're also looking for carbon-46 is what they're mining, and it's like when you name an element with a number, that means the isotope of that element. And 46 is pretty fucking high for carbon. Carbon is element number 6. Most isotopes of carbon are 12. Carbon 12. Carbon 14 is used for radiocarbon dating, and that's like radioactive. Carbon 46 must be blowing itself apart because there's so many fucking neutrons in it.
Wow.
Yeah, it is
crazy.
Yeah, untenable. And like I said in my text, that's a very high isotope. I don't know if that could possibly exist if that nomenclature is the same as what we currently use.
Yeah, well, that's my only question is like, and I'm well aware that this is just an excuse or headcanon or something, papering over cracks, but it's like, how much of this terminology can change in 500,000
exactly.
years?
That's why I hedged my statement there with if their terminology carried over. I mean, it could be trying to reference. We find out later, carbon 46 is basically diamond. So if they're referencing like the chemical structure as opposed to the atomic structure of the material, then it could be a reference that the molecule has 46 carbon atoms in it, but 46 carbon atoms is very tiny, and diamond is referring to the lattice structure, not the recipe.
Gotcha.
the molecule. So yeah, this again very science and engineering minded. So these things kind of stand out to me a little more. If they'd said like carbon-16, I'd be like, okay,
That's more reasonable.
that's a more reasonable isotope number. But 46 was just like way the fuck out there. Like that, there's no way that's stable for anything more than a fraction of a millionth of a second.
Wow. I wonder how many people are in the same boat as you.
Probably a few chemists.
Yeah.
Probably a few nuclear physicists as well.
Um,
Which you absolutely believe there are those kinds of people watching Doctor Who.
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Leave a
100%.
comment if you were listening to our podcast for some awful reason.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Next up, you quote, "Hope is irrelevant." I think this is the leader there. I forget her name.
Yeah, just shutting down.
Shaya.
I didn't pick up on it.
But
They're basically cutting down on the chatter between the very professional soldiers.
Yeah. Next up, you quote the doctor. Actually, first one of the soldiers says, because after 15 calls him babes,
a couple times.
It's not appropriate to call me babes. The doctor replies, "All right, hun." Which is really,
I like the cheeky response there.
Exactly, it was very, very funny, and I feel like more of these moments are kind of seeping through with the 15th Doctor, and he's kind of. He's being a little bit cheekier and more playful. I thought that was very, very funny. Next up, Doctor being an actual doctor for once. I'd say broken neck or broken everything. They discover that the majority of the crew is dead, and they have broken necks, broken bones. They are they've been brutalized. They broke all the mirrors as well. That's creepy. That's the moment you're like, all right, this is not like a normal like guy gone crazy killing everyone. This is something more.
Yeah,
than that.
there's something going on here.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say, I don't know if I actually texted it, but all the soldiers like walking through the hallways, and those hallways in particular, the very industrial look of all of it was heavily reminding me of Waters of Mars and the Mars base. So I'm still heavily in the camp of this is maybe Waters of Mars is doing something here. Because the well, it's making me think like they dug something up that may be a liquid.
Totally, yeah.
So that's kind of where my head is right now. And probably in hindsight, the only thing that's not really lining up is that nobody's fucking soaked.
I know, yeah. It's like we thought we would have some water at this point if it's a Water of Mars sequel.
You'd think so.
All right, next up, heartbeat. They found a heartbeat. Only two, not a Time Lord. Disappointment.
Yep.
It'd be crazy if it was a Time Lord. So there is somebody alive on the base, and they posit could be a survivor, could be a kill, could be the killer,
could be both.
Could be both.
I like it's Belinda who says could be a survivor, indicating she's hopeful, she's optimistic.
Yes,
one of the soldiers' response could be a killer, being pessimistic, and the doctor is saying could be both, being realistic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which again is a very that's a great like little view into their rationale,
psyche. Psyche and rationale.
Yeah. And so that we come up, we find our remaining survivor. You text deaf actress, neat, captioning tech is cool. So yeah, the lone survivor here is a deaf woman, kind of sequestered there by herself in the middle of this room. And interacting with her is interesting because obviously she signs and stuff, but the soldiers have this cool thing where they can just kind of tap a button and there's closed captioning on their suits.
Yep. And I do text this later, but it's weird that tech keeps turning itself off.
Yeah, it does.
And it's like, why would that not just stay on until they deactivate it? Like that made no sense to me.
It seemed like it needed to be activated like every time they were saying something instead of just staying on.
Yeah, but
there were times
awkward.
There were times I think they were purposefully not turning it on or keeping it off as well.
Yes, no, and those that makes sense when they turned it off. But there were times where it's just like, oh, something moved, and now they got to turn it back on so that they can, because they start talking to each other, and then it's like, oh, we got to turn it back on so the
Yeah,
Alyssa, the
yeah.
deaf lady, doesn't freak out.
Yeah, it just I mean that's another thing that kind of just goes to show that like that accessibility is not a priority for the soldiers. Like I
Hmm.
can imagine the rationale might be that it saves battery or saves
But it's 500,000 years
energy
in
or
the
something.
future.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Just say it shouldn't be a big issue, but next text you have is silence will fall.
And that was
Which
absolutely just a joke riffing on the fact that there was a deaf actress.
oh yes.
I think someone just actually said the word silence at one point, and as like, oh, we've got invisible-ish creatures that people aren't seeing, and it's like, I've seen that before, maybe. with
I mean
the silence from Eleven's run, and we haven't seen them in a while. So it's like, oh, maybe this isn't Wars of Mars, but maybe we're bringing back a different monster. Maybe it's the silence. Maybe the silence are going to come back and just are hiding for some reason in this random mine.
yeah, well, it would
Maybe
be
it's the origin of the
cool.
silence.
I mean, it very well could have been at this point. I would love a silence comeback. The only thing is that we're not seeing marks on their arms.
No, but the doctor,
You would
but
think if the doctor,
the
what was aware of
would
them,
right,
he
the
would
doctor would
start
be aware,
marking
but
his arms.
the doctor's, yeah, that's a good point. But the doctor would not.
If he didn't
Sorry,
realize right
I'm trying.
away or something.
Right, he didn't realize right away. I don't think he was in that room with Alyssa at first. Or am I'm misremembering? No, he was there first. So yeah, no,
He's there
you're absolutely
first, and he
right.
leaves, comes back. But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, no,
Uh,
it's a good thought.
also, it could just be they have new powers because they've been gone for 10 years.
Oh yeah, totally.
So
Totally, yeah. Could be a different version of them. Which I mean, like a lot of fans, they don't like when these creatures change, like their powers change, the ability. But I think like change is the only
when's it
constant in the
evolution?
universe.
Yeah,
So evolution, it makes sense, I mean, to a certain degree. But
to a certain degree,
anyways,
absolutely.
yeah. Next up, you have a nurse who can't sign. That's against the law. So Belinda here is trying to help Alice, and she realizes she can't sign, and so apparently 500,000 years in the future, that is a law that's been put into place.
Apparently,
Which, yeah, which some people, they'll say, oh, that's just woke bullshit, man. But I mean, I think it kind of makes sense. I think I think nurses should be able to sign.
should be able to
Uh,
communicate with their patients. Yes,
yeah, absolutely. Um, a mercury drop. Bet that's the well.
a big fucking hole in the ground. Yeah, it better be the
Yeah.
well.
Next up, you got you're a funny sort of nurse, which is something that Alice says to Belinda.
Yep, just quoting the episode as I go along.
Which is true because she's obviously Belinda's a nurse from the 21st century. This is 500,000 years in the future. Their nursing might be a bit different at this point. But one consistent thing I love about Belinda is that she jumps into action whenever there's any medical attention being needed to be taken care of.
Yeah.
She's right there.
I imagine she just needs to latch onto the one thing she knows how to do on an alien planet.
Yes, definitely.
Probably helps her cope with the fact that she's been, traveling through time with this person she just met.
You're right. Yeah. So next up we have That's So Kind, and then you describe looks around super shifty and guilty. And so this is kind of a moment where you're kind of like, is this girl Alyssa, is she innocent, or is she actually the bad guy, or in association with them? So it was
Who
very
knows?
tense, very tense. The atmosphere is kind of worsening. It's getting tense and suspenseful. You got her pistol looks like a TOS phaser. Josh, explain.
Yeah. So the head, the leader of the military people, is just carrying a pistol this whole time, and it looks almost exactly like a pistol from the original series of Star Trek.
Okay.
Well, maybe a bit more streamlined. Maybe the movies from the original series.
The J.J. Abrams movies?
No, the actual like 70s and 80s movies.
Gotcha. So here we are. They're talking about Earth. Josh, you quote, "Never heard of Earth? Stupid name for a planet." Or
it is. It's named Dirt.
yeah. That is true. And so these guys don't recognize Earth or humans. Josh, what's your first thought here? What the fuck's going on?
My first thought is kind of getting sucked out of the episode of like, but they are human. We're looking at them. They're human.
Humanoids.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, they're probably just pulling the Star Trek where the closest thing to an alien is a human with a piece of putty stuck to his forehead.
But Josh,
but then you also have the Doctor.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly.
Who looks completely human, but is not human by any means, unless you dig into deep lore and maybes.
So there have been moments where, I mean, even the 10th Doctor kind of glibly said, like, I think he was talking to Donna or something, and Donna's like, you're an alien, but you look human. And then he's like, well, you look Time Lord,
Yep.
And there is the idea, I think, I forget if it's in the classic series or in expanded media, where the Time Lords like seeded the universe with their with like the humanoid form, and that's why this human form pops up over and over again. So I mean,
makes sense for a theory.
So there are theories there. Your mileage may vary. But anyways, it's concerning to say the least to Belinda and the Doctor that they don't know Earth, especially because the Doctor in the beginning of the episode said humans are everywhere. Last. And then Alice just says your tests are very strange, asking these strange questions.
Yeah, because they think they're there to test them, and it's
exactly did they jump scare with peripheral vision?
Yeah, that because I was paying attention to the episode, and all of a sudden it's just like a jump scare sting in the music, and it's like I didn't see anything. But
it was
did I just miss something? Yeah, but like, did I miss something with my peripheral vision? And that's what this is me asking the question. Like, did they try to jump scare with peripheral vision?
I kind of thought the same thing, and I do think that there's like in that scene, I think there's a little something that you can kind of see in the corner.
Yeah, right. But that's exactly what they're trying to do. But it's also that was weird.
Yeah, very strange. Next up, you have never heard of any of you. So are they supposed to not be humans?
My silence joke looking less like a joke now.
Oh yeah, my silence joke looking less like a joke now. So now you're thinking maybe this is a silence after all.
Exactly.
With the jump scares, with the peripheral vision thing, that definitely fits into the silence MO.
Because in the first episode we had when they were going through the time fracture, like the stuff was skipping around in the episode. So maybe if the silence are involved and fourth wall breaks are a thing in this season now, maybe the silence are literally just like cutting out their scenes from the episode.
Oh yeah,
and I just think that's. And now that I said that, I think that's going to be an amazing thing if they make a comeback during the season at some point.
That's a cool.
Where it's just like, and a cool evolution of their powers. Like they are now able to affect the episode. It's like, wait, was there a scene jump there? And it's like, oh wait, the silence like literally cut it out.
They're kind of the editors of the memories too, like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a pretty cool idea.
If that's not in the season, writers get on it.
Yes,
good luck,
Russell.
That sounds like a very difficult thing to write.
RTD Moffat, hope you're listening. Give us credit, please.
Yes.
Never heard of any of you. So are they supposed to not be humans? And this is early Star Trek level of aliens?
And that's what my point was, where like they look like humans.
Yeah, and my thought there was kind of like, well, maybe they are Hainish from the Hainish cycle. Books,
maybe.
Ursula K. Le Guin. That's something we're reading now on other podcasts. So that's what that.
Check out Chapter Chumps.
Check out Chapter Chumps.
I gotta finish reading that after this.
Yeah, no, me too. What's that thing? Magic. Thanks, Clark.
Any technology sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic.
Yes, which is a great quote. Another Chapter Chumps adjacent reference.
Yes.
Science. Magic, sometimes science is, or magic is science for dumb people is another quote. Anyways, okay. Next up, you say, is this one of those SCP Foundation things that multiplies in reflections or recordings or something? That already happened in Doctor Who. Was it a reflection of a Dalek or some other monster of the week?
Yeah. So I'm thinking of like this is some creature or entity that multiplies when it's recorded,
Yeah.
or if it reflects off something. And
Well,
I know that's been in the SCP at some point. And I'm pretty sure we saw something about Doctor Who. Oh, it's an angel.
I was
That's what
gonna
it
say
was.
the image of an angel it becomes an angel itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was, because this is where they managed to reconstruct the security footage of the well when things started going wrong. And we just see a bunch of people like waving at the camera, like, no, no, turn it off, turn everything off. We don't know what it is.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
And it's like, oh shit, did they like unleash this entity because they reactivated a recording of it? So again,
Oh.
I couldn't remember that it was the angels that were
Well, that's
the image of the
another.
angel is an angel.
I mean, that's another with the fourth wall breaks though, Josh. Like that's another idea. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, because there's the whole an image of an angel is an angel. We have Amy
Oh
watching
god,
the
could you imagine
VHS
that with
of
could you
it.
imagine that being Doctor Who?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, the angels coming back in this season of Doctor Who with the fourth wall breaks? Oh man.
I know it would be insane. That I mean, there's so much like ripe fruit for the picking here. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, you're coming up with some good ideas. So next one, you got back on silence. This theory is holding strong.
Yep.
Here's the thing about the captioning. Why does the captioning tech keep turning off? You're right. Now you're quoting they're watching the footage from the mining colony before all the deaths and just people screaming, "We don't know what it is. We don't know what it is,"
Yeah.
which is um
Scary.
yeah, it is scary. I mean, because they're way out of their depths. So the doctor here is like racking his brains. This really feels like the 12th Doctor to me, where
Mm-hmm.
you say, "Oh, my old head." He's kind of shaking his head. He's like, what is this thing? What is this thing?"
Yep.
Um, they mention it's a diamond mines, uh, diamond mine, not diamond mined. Uh, Josh, you posit they're on Earth, aren't they? Which
Yeah,
is
because
actually that's a good guess.
no one's heard of Earth or humans, and Earth is covered in carbon. Um, so maybe whatever happened to Earth in May of 2025 in the timeline of the show, hopefully not this timeline, um, just I don't know, turned everything into diamonds, just reduced everything
Yeah.
to carbon, and the carbon over 500,000 years got turned into diamonds that they're now mining. Who knows? They
Yeah.
said the sun is dead as well, which was another like maybe something happened to the sun as well. Maybe that's what happened to the Earth. Maybe it just got the sun went supernova and because the Daleks fucked with it and the Earth got burned to a crisp, and that's why everything's carbon. So that's where my thought process was for half a second until they name dropped the planet.
They name drop the planet, and this is the big reveal. The penny drops here. Uh, the doctor asks what the planet's called. They say, "Oh yeah, 6767," and he's like, "Wait, no.
What was the
Four
name
hundred
before
thousand years
that?
ago. Yeah, what was the name before that?"
And
The guy
conveniently,
who's actually,
the conveniently soldier who just like dropped there to complete a mission happens to know this ancient
yeah,
history fact.
I know
It,
it's like it's an absurdly long time
yeah,
back
it's like asking the
for
lieutenant
history.
in charge of a platoon in Afghanistan, like,
Yeah,
all right, all right, what's the name of that fossil over there?
yeah,
And it's
I know.
like, you might know someone who knows like a trilobite, but it's like,
I
okay,
mean, maybe she's an armchair historian. I don't know.
maybe.
But yeah.
So
So
I type it out. And I'm just typing it out like this is what they're saying, and then
you
I
don't know yet.
react.
You're typing this out. You 6767 midnight, and then then it'll
All
be
caps.
all caps. Wait, midnight. You just text midnight. It's the midnight
Midnight!
entity.
Yeah.
And
So
so
when
yeah.
I'm home here all of myself, I'm actually yelling this shit sometimes. Like the
Nice.
all caps stuff is like, oh, it's the midnight entity. I
Yeah,
can't do that at my parents' house.
yeah. No, it's nice to have your own space for
It
freaking out.
is. Oh man.
So Josh, what did you think? Because you, I mean, you were so spot on that this was some sort of sequel or some sort of callback. Um,
I was not
did that
expecting
make?
Midnight Entity at all. I wasn't even
Yeah,
thinking of Midnight until they mention the name Midnight. It's like, oh, diamonds. Something happened to the carpet on the earth. It's like, no, Midnight was literally a planet made of diamonds. How was I not
yeah,
thinking about
yeah,
Midnight? I guess it wasn't my favorite episode of Ten's run, or Donna's. So it like people quote like reference it all the time. It's decent. It's a good show episode, but it's not my favorite. It's kind of
yeah.
what I'm trying to say. So I'm not
It's
thinking
one
about
of
it.
the it's one of those beloved episodes. And I agree with you, Josh. I don't. It's not one of my favorites either. I really enjoy it. I love it because it's Doctor Who. It's a good episode of Doctor Who. But
Mhm.
that season 4 has like so many bangers that are better in my opinion. Um,
Agreed.
but
That's the episode.
what?
That's the season Blink's from, isn't it?
No, that's season 3.
No,
But
Blink. You're right.
they
Right.
both
That was
they both
Martha.
have, yeah, they're both really high quality. But pretty much Russell was saying in Doctor Who Unleashed when I was watching, he's like, yeah, Midnight is the one that like people always say like you shouldn't do a sequel to it, so that's why I'm going to do a sequel to it. Pretty much. um I think essentially too they started writing the episode and they're like, wait, this feels like it could be Midnight, and so like we shouldn't run away from that, we should just let it be the same planet, the
Yeah.
same entity.
I
So which is
honestly,
great.
I thought it was a great reveal. I was not seeing that coming. I was bouncing through all like we've been going through. I've been bouncing through all these other theories about what this was,
Yeah.
and it was something I was not expecting at all. And I think that's great.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
I love when
And
a show can trick me.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was an awesome reveal. Um, Shooty's reaction too, the 15th Doctor's reaction was just his face is so like just the look on his face is so great. Like you can
Yeah.
just tell that you can tell the gravity or the mavity of the situation.
I forgot about that
you can,
shit.
you can tell that this is very very serious. Like the danger levels just jumped exponentially.
Mhm.
And so he goes running back to the room, back to Belinda.
Also, I do want to say
Yeah.
the only thing I don't like about this reveal is that it makes all the technobabble at the beginning of the episode make so much less sense because there's all this excellent like radiation technobabble they had from Midnight. The Zion or Zeta or whatever the fuck it was, radiation. It's like, yeah, that sounds like it could be some weird deadly ass radiation, but no, they went with galvanic for some stupid reason. Sorry.
I didn't think about that, but that's a good point.
Like,
I don't know what
that would have been a great like hint at the beginning for people
Yeah.
who could remember that. Oh, Midnight Planet was full of Zion radiation. Well, I
Yeah.
certainly would not have remembered that. I thought it was like, oh, that's a cool little sci-fi techno babble,
Sure.
and moved on. But no, they used
Yeah.
the one word that would actually like trip me up and take me out of the episode, and now rant about it
Yeah.
a day later.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair.
Sci-fi
Next
writers,
up-
if you're writing a sci-fi, and you want to put technobabble in, get someone who knows a little bit of science to help clean it up for you, please.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in Doctor Who, it's like sometimes they do that. It's just
Yeah,
it's not consistent though. Next up, you say they said it was laughing, which is
I don't remember what that is at the point.
well, I think it's a list maybe talking about because this is when she admits, oh, there actually is something behind me.
Right.
Like she was trying to hide it from them before this. She said there's nothing. What are you looking at? There's nothing. So I think she's talking about other crew members. They said it was laughing. This entity.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they're getting to the bottom of it, and now this is really what the Midnight Creature does. Right now, they're all getting paranoid and aggressive and fearful and lashing out. So yeah, next up you say permission not given. And so let's see. I forget if this is before we have all those deaths. I think this is when
It's
this
before.
is when, yeah, this is right before, I think. So next up we kind of have Belinda explain how this kills people. You text me, you die at midnight. Pretty much if you stand directly at the midnight position behind the person that the entity is attached to and somebody is observing it, I mean, I don't know how to say this, you get fucking thrown across the room.
You get yeeted.
Yes, that's the phrase.
You are yoked.
Common nomenclature there. And of course, like the whole "you die at midnight" concept is like, I mean, of course, Russell was like probably so excited when he thought of that.
That was like eye rolling. Like, oh come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
Midnight being that's based purely on where the camera was pointing at the time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's silly, but like in Doctor Who, it's like it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
A different life, which is I think the Doctor talking about his previous
referencing 10.
experience with them. Yep.
I like
No
those little
face.
illusions.
Yeah, absolutely. No face, no name, no self. Never been so scared in my life. And I mean, I think this is like for a lot of the villains. Like sometimes when they return, the Doctor says, "Oh, this is the scariest bad guy I've ever faced. This is the most evil force I've ever faced." But in this case, like it's really like this shook the Doctor to his core. Like if like there's a flashback to the original episode, and like you can
Oh
just see
yeah.
in Tennant's face, like like just fear and helplessness and
I forgot to actually like text that. Like, fuck, we saw actually parts of the episode from Midnight with Tennant.
yeah, yeah. um and so next time you say it had fun, it played games, which is what the 15th Doctor is saying, that this creature, this entity, is just toying with them. And
Yep.
so then of course you think,
Toy
you
maker.
text toy maker, which would be fucking insane, Josh. Like if this was a Pantheon member, because it also so said it was laughing. So like
Yeah.
what if we
What
hear
if it's
like
the
a
giggle?
what if it's the giggle, which would be 2 episodes in a row? That would be kind of silly, but so I'm happy it
Would
wasn't,
be
but it was there. It could have it could
right.
have made. But I kind of like that some unknowable forces in the universe they're just, who knows? They're not members of the Pantheon. They're not uh
Just a force of nature.
force of nature, exactly. Um, don't look, blink.
Blink.
Yes, this is a
It's like the opposite of the Weeping Angels. Don't look at it.
yeah,
Whatever you do, close your eyes.
exactly. So this is after all the people die.
Yep.
Pretty.
And
I just want,
they start talking to each other.
yeah, I just want to give a rundown where yeah, the soldier that fucking didn't like being called babes kind of operates a coup. He kind of performs a coup on the leader and leads his men to death by stepping behind Alice, and
Yep.
they all get fucking just destroyed. And
Mm-hmm.
there's this episode's got a pretty high death count.
On-screen death count.
On-screen death count, yes. Um,
The first
so yeah,
episode at least killed at least a dozen people when the
that's
doctor
very
emptied the
yes,
hospital.
that's very true. And so that's so this is another great line from the list. She said, or the Doctor says, "We can't abandon her." That's not what I said. Don't turn your back on me, is what Alice says. That's
Right.
I loved that line delivery. This actress is
Same.
she's really great.
Yeah, and because we see throughout the episode, like they either have the captions or she can read their lips. And this is the first time the doctor, who's probably the only person she really trusts aside from Belinda in this room, literally turns his back to her to hide what he's saying. And you can feel the betrayal in her
Yes.
request to not turn his back on her.
Absolutely.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was really good. Kind of reminded me of there's a moment in Jodie's first season where there's the blind girl that they find in that house. Her father's missing or whatever, and the Doctor writes on the wall like a message to the companions so she doesn't know. But then she's like, I'm not dumb. Like I know you're, I know you're
Writing.
writing and not drawing a map, which is what she told her she was doing. But anyways, and then I want to point out too that the Doctor knows British Sign Language here. The Doctor knows sign language, has been signing to her the entire time, which this is, so I'm not sure if you remember this, Josh, but in series 9, the 12th Doctor, in the episode Under the Lake, there was a deaf crew member as well. And the Doctor thought he knew how to sign, but then quickly realized that he deleted it to make room for a different language or something, and it was embarrassing for him.
He forgot.
He has relearned sign language since then, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Next up, we got too many people have died, and now it stops. That's what the Doctor says. The Doctor now confronts it head on. What are you? You can't hear it.
Referring to Alice like she's deaf.
Yes. It knows his name.
His real name?
This creature is whispering to the Doctor. He says it knows his name, and then you say in all caps his real name. I'm assuming so. And it's
That's the implication.
that's the implication. It's hard to because does the Doctor even know his real name at this point?
I mean, clearly he.
That's in the
Oh,
fob
maybe
watch.
like
We
the
don't know.
chameleon arc.
Yeah, that's
No,
in. I
I thought
mean,
it was just
the Doctor
no.
doesn't have the Timeless Child's any of that. We don't know if he had a different name
Oh,
when he was working for the division, and it's kind of up in the air right
hmm.
now.
See, I always assumed the Doctor's name was just like a hidden secret name kind of thing, and just the fact that the entity knows that, kind of like River would know it.
I think that's what this is. I think that's what this is implying. It's just
Yeah,
there are now more layers to that than there were back when
last
River
time the
told.
Doctor's name came up.
Yes, exactly.
I really like the shit. What was I gonna say? Oh, I completely forgot what I was gonna say. Fuck, something about River, and now I completely forgot.
It's okay. We can bring it up if you
I hate when
remember
that
it.
happens. I'm in the middle of a thought and it just disappears before I can voice it.
Hey, it happens to the best of us. Next up, what did you see? The way out. The Doctor has a plan. I am an idiot. Uh,
I love when the Doctor says that.
yeah, that's a very Doctor line. It's definitely for me Capaldi vibes. Capaldi
I
and
I,
Tennant, I feel like are they both.
I love Capaldi's delivery when he's
Yes.
in that one episode with the where Missy's asking him what he is. He's like, I am an idiot.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Yeah, that's a great moment.
I quote that all the time.
Everyone, get ready to run, and I mean run. Mercury pipes. This is the grand solution. You say that's so toxic.
Yeah, like literally, there are pipes, like 4 to 6 inch diameter pipes, just full of mercury. And it's like, oh my god, that's so fucking toxic.
And of course, you're referencing the song played in the beginning of the episode.
No, I mean, it's literally toxic. It is literally a toxic amount of mercury just all around them that they unleash a curtain of it. It's like, oh my god, there's nothing stopping that. They are breathing that in. That is, they are touching that. That is so toxic.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is how it had to happen. Run.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it. Another very Doctor moment. The Doctor has to turn around and try and take a look to see if you can see the entity.
I've seen some GIFs online of people like taking this scene and cranking the contrast to try to see what the entity looks like.
Yeah,
I know, and I did find someone like did a behind the scenes of what the head of like entity looks like. Like that actually got posted somewhere. It's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, in the behind the scenes Doctor Who Unleashed that I watched, they do have a guy who plays the creature, and there is like a mask. But like I think it's not really intended. It is very creepy, but yeah, it's always intended to be kind of in shadow or just a quick.
It's the Jaws effect, where the less you show of it, the better it is.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So next up, for a second we think they're all safe. Then Josh, you write, it's here. It's Belinda. So this is a really tense scene where they're all looking around at each other and they're like, wait, I think it's here. And then they're like, it's not me. It's not me.
Yeah.
Belinda
so
is frozen.
Yeah. My tone for that text was, it's Belinda.
You knew it. No. Yeah. Which is like, oh god, it's fucking brutal. And then now the Doctor is kind of bargaining with this entity. He says, "You can walk the universe on my back," which is a very Doctor offer, you know. And then the Shia or whatever her name is, offers a solution that she's going to shoot Belinda because there's a chance that Belinda might survive.
Because she is a crack shot, and she asked the Doctor, like, is human anatomy similar to whatever they're supposed to be anatomy? Yeah. And it's like, pretty much. It's like, all right, so I could shoot her between the main arteries, like above her heart, and that will solve the issue somehow.
Yes. Well, because
it won't kill her.
Yeah, I mean, it won't kill her. It'll hopefully the entity will jump off of her to the offender, and that's what it does. Belinda gets shot, which is so fucking traumatic. That's such a traumatic, like, second TARDIS journey or third TARDIS journey. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
like after having a fun cartoon romp, which I mean is traumatic in its own way. It's like this is like real hard, brutal reality of the open universe. Um, Kind of reminds me of like when Bill got like her spacesuit wasn't working and she was exposed to the full vacuum of space for a little bit. It's just like this is when time
Right.
travel stops being fun, you know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and so then the captain now has the entity and sacrifices herself, and we see a
We get
little
a
bit of her
nice
past life.
backstory. Yeah, like a nice
Yeah,
little monologue for her. But I love how it's like I never looked back as the little girl's looking over her
yeah,
shoulder. It's like someone in
that
the
is
editing room didn't proof that properly.
that is pretty funny. Yeah, he said I never looked back, looks over shoulders. Uh, like Waters of Mars, the lady in charge kills herself to set things right. That's true, except this time it's not the doctor's fault, which is an important difference.
True. Yes.
No Time Lord victorious.
Also,
Uh,
just going back to my theory, is like this is maybe Waters of Mars at the beginning of the episode,
yeah,
which it
which I'm
unfortunately
does
is not.
well. It's not.
There is
It
a
has
fluid.
vibes. Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
fluid. Waters of Mars is something that too. That's prime for a sequel. That would be cool. Now they're back in the TARDIS. Belinda is recovering. They're asking, how could the Earth not exist? So this is the question now.
Big question of the season. I think we got the
The
big
question.
mystery of the season figured out at this point,
Yes,
or determined. Not we haven't figured out the mystery itself. We know what the mystery is. We don't know what the
exactly.
result. We don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, something happened to the Earth. Got to get to the bottom of this. Probably the reason why they can't land on May 24th, May 24th, 2025. Um, Next, all caps. Was that Mrs. Flood or Susan Twist? Which
I
old
honestly
lady
could
was
not.
it?
I honestly couldn't tell which old lady it was. I think
So
I think it's Mrs. Flood.
it is Mrs. Flood. It's Mrs. Flood.
Okay, but
Um,
she looks like Susan Triad did when they were the fucking
in Space Babies.
Space Babies. Yeah, I almost said
Yeah.
the landmine episode, but no, that was when she was the ambulance. It's a very
Yes.
similar uniform, very similar like hairstyle. It's like, all right, wait a minute, which old fucking lady is this?
They're
But no,
they're
it's
both yeah, they're both wearing space suits or space station
uniform.
uniforms. Yeah,
Yep.
uniforms and they're both I mean, so I understand the mix up there, which but for me this actually gives us some more insight into Mrs. Flood because she's kind of acting a bit differently than we're used to her acting. She's questioning the crew about the doctor here
Mm-hmm.
and asks if the Vindicator was with him. And
And she seems to
so
be pleased by that.
she does seem to be pleased, which is interesting. Which makes you think like, oh, is it a trap? Is she actually on the doctor's side? I don't think so. I
If
don't
she's
know.
Susan, then yes, she probably is on the doctor's side. Although when the reveal of who she is comes out, it's probably going to be like she needs to stop him from making a mistake, and it
Yeah,
seems like she's an adversary at first. But yeah, I even if she's not Susan, I think she is on the doctor's side for now.
yeah,
And I'm still convinced that she's Susan, and she's almost certainly a Time Lord at this point because she hasn't aged and she's a half million years in the future. So there has to be either some immortality or TARDIS involved, or TARDIS. I mean,
absolutely.
like time travel
Yeah,
device.
some sort of time travel. Yep.
I wonder if it
Um,
could be me or even Clara. But
well, I mean, yeah, those
because
are all
you know,
reasonable.
it could be one of them because we see them fly off in a TARDIS.
Well, yeah, they're flying off into TARDIS. The thing about Clara though is that she doesn't age. She's not going to age anymore. She's stuck between one heartbeat and
That's
the
a good
last.
point. You're right.
And as far as me is immortal, and we saw her at the end of the universe, didn't age. So
You're right.
I don't know. Could be something like that though. But I mean, and there's also the thing where Mrs. Flood was dressed like Clara in her last episode. So who the fuck knows at this point? But
Hmm.
uh, it's all possible on the show. And then at the
Hmm.
end, Josh, we are left with it got out. At the very last scene, the
Yep.
crew is looking around, and then it's implied that the entity has attached itself to one of the crew members that
Survivors.
survivors. Yeah. So we'll see what happens on the next installment of the Midnight Mystery.
Midnight
But
mystery. Mystery at midnight.
Mystery at Midnight. I'm not sure if you saw this, but at the end when they were going through the airlock, Josh, apparently it was 3 of them that were leaving the airlock, but on the screen it registered 4 life forms.
I
People think that there might be 2 entities and both got loose at the end.
Oh, interesting. I knew that little screen was probably going to indicate how many entities were in the room. Um, so I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised it didn't focus on that.
Yeah,
But I was caught up in
very
everything else
subtle.
going on that I completely forgot to check it because it wasn't front and center on the screen. It was a tiny
No, it wasn't.
detail,
Yeah.
and I do like that it was actually indicating something was off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that is a good
we'll see.
Easter egg.
Yeah, I mean, whoever wants to pick it up in the future, you got all the ammo now. Next up, we have the Next Time trailer. In all
Yeah.
caps, Josh. Ruby.
Ruby.
The return of Ruby, previous companion. Did you know she was going to be in the season or?
Nope.
No.
Like I said, no spoilers.
I know. Yeah, I did know that. But I was happy to see her. Next up, you got With a Boyfriend and a Lizard.
Yeah, it's like a weird lizard thing, like tiny Godzilla looking thing.
I don't know what you're talking about there. I gotta rewatch. I gotta rewatch that
It
trailer.
was like I think it was in like a graveyard or something. It
Okay.
in the brief second that I was looking at it while I was like trying to text you, it was like it kind of resembled Godzilla, but like
Yeah.
the size of maybe like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I have no idea what's gonna happen. Also, the boyfriend might have some like green spit thing going on, so it's like, all right, this is some weird reptile thing going on. Maybe
yeah,
Silurians.
you think maybe her boyfriend's an alien or something?
Almost certainly, it's Doctor Who.
Yeah, there's something going on with them. He's bad news.
Hopefully, he's
Yes.
not an AI generator.
Yeah, I know, right? At least he's not Al. He's not the Al generator. Silurians, yeah. So maybe a Silurian adventure. Who I mean,
My other thought was maybe the Slovene.
yeah.
God, can you
Yeah.
imagine they bring the Celine back? Like,
I-
how
you
fucking
know-
campy is that going to be?
It would be so camp. I think it's actually about time, honestly. I think this era could use them. I think enough time has passed, people would celebrate the return of the Slovene.
We'll see. It would depend on how it's done. It would very much depend on how it's done.
Just imagine an episode where Trump is a Slovene. How perfect
Oh
would that
God. Oh no,
be?
that'd be awful.
He's prime Slovene material.
He is. You're absolutely right, but I would hate that so much.
It would be so heavy-handed. Yeah. So next up, Josh, you got your wishes. Your wish was granted.
Middle Age's
Eight.
back.
You got the middle eight again. Thank God.
That's pretty much my indication. Like, oh, the episode's over.
Yeah. And then you just share with me your final thoughts. So Josh, I'll leave the floor to you. Do you want to share any
Yeah.
just
I-
final rundown of the episode?
I thought it was a great episode. I say good in my text, but it was a great episode. I was not expecting midnight, as we've kind of covered. There was one point in the episode where I did want to guess Vashta Narada. But then I remembered all the bodies strewn throughout the compound still had meat on them and weren't,
Yeah.
bones. So it's like, all right, probably not the library. Yeah, my only real gripe was the technobabble. And we covered all that pretty well. But I do really enjoy how the Doctor seems to be bouncing around some old forgotten haunts this season. And I really like the idea of, like, Earth's kind of off limits for now, aside from the past. Let's bounce around through some places that even the fans kind of forget about. I say with a broad stroke. I know people are always on Wikipedia or something like that and have encyclopedic knowledge that I can't handle with Doctor Who.
The non-rabid insane fans.
Yes.
I forgot about. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And,
no, you're right.
So we've had an episode with the Pantheon. We've had Midnight. Maybe next week it's, like I just said, Silurians or the Slovene. Heck, let's go visit the library again. Again, kind of connecting because I was thinking about the Vashta Narada while I was texting this. Can you imagine if we met River with or like a River cameo with 15?
Yeah, that would be crazy.
I think they would work really well together.
I think they would bounce off each other really well. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the high flirtation energy both of them have, it would be insane.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're right. You're right.
And while we're bouncing around, maybe we visit the Shadow Proclamation again, or that asteroid ship from 10's first episode that had the like blood type aliens.
That's fuck. What are they called?
I have no idea. They looked like they had like
They had like
house
skull
skulls on their
faces.
heads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or fuck it, let's just go back and see the Zarbi again. We haven't seen them since
Yes.
season 1
The
of the
actual
first
season
Doctor.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love a Zarbi return.
You you did text us at one point, us being our friend Connor and I, that the Zarbi were going to make a cameo in uh, an episode that we had watched recently.
Yes, well, actually, last season, the season finale, there was going to be a Zarbi cameo in the beginning of the season finale, where the Doctor and Ruby were on the planet of the Zarbi, and they saw Susan Twist or Susan Triad on that
Ah,
planet. So
right.
it's
I
going to
wasn't
be a
sure if that was
small.
real or you were making that up.
No, that was real, but it was cut, obviously. But it
Right.
would have been cool to have in there. I mean,
I
I'm all for the
I
Zarbi.
joke about it. The Zarbi were just it was such an annoying episode when I was watching original Doctor Who because the Zarbi just sounded awful. Whenever they were on screen, they just made
Yeah,
this awful sound.
yeah, you're right.
And I don't know what a modern incarnation of the Zarbi would be like.
They could make it
So
good. I
that
think they could make it
I think they
cool.
could,
Yeah.
but they really were just like really annoying sounding guys in bee costumes.
Well, yeah,
So
that's all it is. So watching it now makes you feel insane. Like that's kind of like what Peter Capaldi says about because he grew up with watching the first Doctor, and he has memories of the Zarbi, and he says like his memories of the Zarbi are like there were these like really cool, strange, mystical bee creatures. But then when he saw it when he was older, he was like, wait, this is just guys in a costume and making annoying sounds. So it does not hold up in the in the way that
nope.
your memory, and we don't have that luxury of having that memory of being a child watching it. But yeah. So I I don't know. I think next week is going to be interesting because we are back on Earth. I'm assuming this is before May 24th. And
Almost certainly.
yeah, so I think this will be a bit of the flashback. I'm excited to see what we get up to it. I think we will learn more about what happens to Earth as well. I think that this will give us some more insight to what's going on on
Maybe.
Earth.
I
Yeah.
wonder. I assume this is going to be after Ruby has reunited with her mother.
I think so.
It would be weird if they went far enough back where she doesn't know the Doctor.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Because if they go any earlier than when she met the Doctor, that would make no sense timeline wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be an interesting interaction. It's always fun when an old companion shows up, even if they've only been gone for like 4 episodes.
Yeah,
So,
well, it kind of reminds me of when Martha left in the end of series 3, and then came back like a few episodes into series 4 for a couple episodes. Donna.
Yeah, it just kept popping up a little bit for a few episodes.
Yeah,
So maybe we're gonna see something like that.
yeah. I mean, it makes I don't know. It's cool to have kind of a rotating cast of characters who return. So
Yeah,
and also
having that kind of continuity.
Yes, exactly. And also they're on Earth, so maybe Unit's got something to do with. I don't know. I'm always up to see Unit, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, anyways, folks, thank you for listening. Much appreciated. Let us know your thoughts on The Well. You can email us at whodudespod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at whodudespod. If you are feeling up for it and willing and able, please leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts as well as a 5-star rating on Spotify podcasts as well. We will be back next week talking about season 2, episode 4, Lucky Day. But most importantly, folks, until next time.
Blink. Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
Bye. All right. Stream over.